importance of wheat, its losses in the world, and the short story of yellow rust, its mechanism of its spread, and its sustainable management strategies. And at the end, we will have certain conclusions made from our this discussion. So it is our prime food source, as my colleagues have said, and under changing climate nowadays, its situation is getting very worst. Along with other too many factors, diseases are an important factor of declining the yield of our wheat crop, and among diseases, rusts are very important. And again, among rusts, yellow rust is very much important, as it appears at the stage when our crop is at vegetative growth. So at this stage, the photosynthetic area get reduced, and ultimately our reduced yield, we got reduced yield. And at the same time, in population is getting increasing, and in order to feed increasing population under certain climate changes situation, it is very, very challenging for us to mitigate all the problems, including these diseases and especially yellow rust disease. So you see that 21% of total yield of world wheat production is lost due to certain diseases, and it is a huge one. 21% is a huge one. So it's a challenging for us to save such amount to be wasted. So here I would like to compare, as I am a field-oriented worker, I spend less time in lab. So I will describe the field situation in very simple and applicable ways. So it is worth mentioning here that during last year, there was a yellow rust epidemic, and we have very reduced yield average that was probably 28 or 30 mount per acre. It's very, very low during the history of our wheat. And that was due to climate changes. The last year was highly conducive for yellow rust. The low temperature, cloudy and moist situation boost the spread of yellow rust. And similarly, there was highly susceptible and resistant more as well. These are concrete, solid reasons that I have observed. And but this year was very, very good for our wheat crop, our food crop. And this again because of climate changes. This year the climate was less conducive for spread of yellow rust. Though yellow rust was there, but was unable to spread in larger areas due to high temperature, less humidity, and there was no cloud, and dry as compared to last year, dry weather. And substantial decrease of highly susceptible. Everybody is listening to me? Hello?
Yes, listening.
Hello? So, everybody is listening to me, or I'm speaking
yes,
alone?
Yes, yes, sir. Please carry on.
Hello?
Carry on, sir. It's okay.
Everybody is listening?
Yes, sir.
That's okay.
Yes, sir.
Please carry on.
We are listening, please.
Please
Okay,
carry
I was
on.
thinking that I am speaking.
No, no, no. It's okay, please.
So this year was very fine as compared with the last year, because this year we were well prepared, we were well vigilant, and we have certain management actions. Also, that was the reason. As I am listening, that the most average of our per acre is coming very impressive one. It's maybe 50 plus, 50, 60 plus. So that is a good sign this year. And now these three are very important among weed diseases. They are yellow rust, brown rust, and black rust. So all definitely reduce the quality and quantity of wheat grain. These utilize the food of the plant and create necrosis and chlorosis, and hence at the end very weak. We found very weak and poorly filled grain, and ultimately lower yield. So this stripe rust, you see how dangerous it looks. It always attack at the stage when our plant is at its vegetative stage. So that is very critical stage for our wheat plant. So at this stage, if our leaves get infected with this Buccinia striformis, you can say this stripe rust fungus. So at the photosynthetic activity reduced, and ultimately the yield may be reduced at the end. So we must know how the infection or disease process takes place in the wheat field. First of all, spore landed. As my colleague was saying, that spores from alternate host barbaris plant. It comes from barbaris plant. Spores get landed, it's introduced into new area, then it established and stabilized itself on a specific host which contained less susceptibility, or you can say it's a highly susceptible host, and it get colonized here, and here it multiply rapidly and prepare itself for further spread. And it is very strange that when it comes in spore form, it stay almost 1 month at one place, and it convert into its infective stage, that is uridinospores. Then during its initial spread, it did auto-infection cycle. Auto-infection cycle is very rapid, short life cycles. Those completed in 7 to 12 days in presence of in the presence of a highly conducive environment, as I have mentioned before. And these auto-infection cycle create trillions of spores, and those spread in wider areas and infect low immunity wheat plants. And we lost our yield. So this is the life cycle in a different way. I have tried to show you. Its sexual stage complete the fungus completes its sexual stage on alternate host, that is barbaris. and it is called as axial host. And in the form axial cups, from axial cups, the axial spores disperse and landed on our early grown plants, as you see in the picture. Then these converted into spores, and it's carrying on its production of spores by its short life cycle. Auto-infection cycles, those are of 7 to 12 days. This is the asexual stage on its economical host, that is also called as teleal host, or it's our wheat crop. Then when temperature get increased, it changes into teleospores, then basidiospores, then move on to its axial host, and things are hence in this way is carry on its life cycle. It's I have observed in the field, it's very typical nature of this axiospores. When axiospores landed, it have a specific choice, and then as I have seen during my field surveys, there are few varieties. I don't like to mention here, but these are very specific one on where the axiospores placed itself, and it seems these are fond of that kind of susceptible plants. They landed here, stay there for probably a month or 1.5 months there. Then they produce spores. From that, it rapidly multiply and disperse in the presence of human situation and other conducive environmental situation, and spread to further healthy areas. And that you see, we have observed how quick when it find suitable environmental condition, how quick it spread. As you see in this slide, we observe a little spores on leaf at 2nd of Feb. Then after 6 days, you see in the pic how quickly it invade whole the leaf, and after 15 days, it cover whole of the plants, whole of the area. This is very much horrible nature of this rust fungi, that it spread quickly and invade maximum area within no time or within short time. This slide is developed during FAO funded project during 2010 and 11. That was Wheat Productivity Enhancement and Rust Management Project, by using this agricultural extension technique. This is a farmer field school at Bahawalpur region. The participants have developed this chart in order to find the critical stage when we must have to be vigilant in order to combat this this yellow rust or any other disease. So according to this chart, we observe that from 25th day to 100th day, these are almost 2.5 months or 3 months. These are critical period for yellow rust. As you see that from tillering to milk stage, this is the time when yellow rust especially attack on the wheat plants, and damaging, as I have told you, that these stages are very much damaging for our yield, as these are the stages at which our plant is boosting its early growth factors. And one must also know the losses assessment, at which stage and how much losses occurs. So you see at the flowering stage, the maximum maximum yield loss occur if 35% of flag leaf is infected with the yellow rust pustules. It's get 100% yield loss. So when at milk stage, comparatively the loss is getting reduced. And in our situation, it's very dangerous as if most the farmer use fungicide after flowering, milk stage, even at dove stage as well. But it is not economically feasible if the fungicide use is done at the milk stage or dove stage or hard dove stage. So it's in short time, I would like to discuss sustainable management strategies. These are research level strategies, field level, and policy level strategies. Obviously, resistance is very much important. Its development through breeding and its continuity through monitoring in the field is very much important. And one more thing is important is that adaptation by the farmers. It is very hard to convince farmer to adopt a newly released variety. As my colleague was saying earlier, that 80% seed was used by farmer of its own save. So it is challenging for us, and we must have to develop certain extension tools and its implementation, such as I have experience in 2010 and 11. It is very effective and very super tool. It's farmer field school, in which we experts utilize season long with the farmer and get interacted with the farmer and communicate him during its whole crop time. So it must be developed certain other tool as well, and the calibration of nutrients of newly developed material is also important one, as during certain situation the too much nutrition also cause problem for us. And definitely the specific agronomical and cultural practices formation is also necessary and needs to be focused in our research studies. And probably the screening is very much important in order to secure our food. The screening of against certain diseases, especially rust diseases and insects, is very much important. And it's not end, but the important point is the fungal resistance, which is developing nowadays, as in field farmer are using more fungicides against these fungus, and fungus is getting resistance. So it is alarming for us in future. So we must focus on fungal resistance as well. It's alteration of environment is very much necessary. So if shall we have certain machinery to develop, which while we switch button and it get change whole environment pattern of the area. No, it's very much difficult. At least at this stage, it may be possible after 100 or 200 years afterward. And again, if we confine our wheat plants in large glass houses, it is also not possible. So what else we left? It's a change of sowing date. It may be earlier or later, whichever suits for any crop. So for our wheat crop, early sowing, we find early sowing was very good for against good strategy against this yellow rust. And sowing methodology is also a very much important contribution As this year we face a very dangerous has happened in the form of lodging of our wheat crop. That is due to this we broadcast, mostly farmer broadcast use broadcast method. It's not use drill or other modern techniques of sowing. So its main reason of lodging was one of the reason was its broadcasting as well. And another strategy that contribute toward alteration of the environment is less or more inputs. These contribute irrigation, nitrogen, and potash. I would like to share my experience that more irrigation is lethal to our wheat crop. I always say that our wheat crop is hydrophobic. Maybe technically maybe wrong, but more irrigation is lethal for our wheat crop. As wheat crop get older, its irrigation requirement getting, but farmer always keen to irrigate his crop more. He think that I find more production if I irrigate more, but it is wrong. As I have witnessed, I have experience in the field, and similarly in prevailing situation, the use of excessive nitrogen is also dangerous, as we have witnessed in the form of lodging this year. This is also due to overuse of nitrogen, and overuse of nitrogen always results in more diseases, more insects, and obviously this lodging, as I have said. And in our situation, farmer use less potash. Potash is very much important, as as again I would like to share my experience that those farmers use potash, their crops were saved from lodging, and there was less disease and less insects. So under climate situations, under climate changing scenario, we must minimize our irrigation nitrogen, and we must add certain nutrients, for example potash. And the timing of input is also very much important. Most of the inputs must be supplied to our crop after 80 days or maximum 85 days. But farmer carry inputs on 100, 110 days, even 120 days. And I witnessed, I saw, even at this time, farmer, the plants are dried up, but even then, I saw some fields, it's were irrigated. It's very ridiculous. Definitely avoid lodging by less irrigation, by drill sowing, by less nitrogen and more potash. And as I have discussed, avoid fungicidal resistance. As if if it is inevitable to use fungicide, is must one application of fungicide is necessary to get control of 1 month. So no need of more fungicide use. If we use more fungicide, the fungus get resistant and get trouble for us in the future. And very important point of my presentation is policy level strategies, and it's maybe some because I know this program is arranged by plant breeders, so with due apology from breeders, actually Dr. Nurka Saab. Dr. Nurka Saab, are you listening me? Hello, Dr. Nurka Saab.
I'm listening. It's okay. Please carry on.
Okay.
You know very well.
Okay.
We have a lot of discussion about this one. Yeah, please.
So
it is a part. Next time we will arrange physically, inshallah.
Okay. So it's a final slide from my side. So I'm sorry for taking too much time, but this is very much important to discuss here. The patent right. It's not only breeder who evolve varieties. If a breeder claim that he is the only person who evolved the variety, then how could he decide the resistance of his varietal resistance against disease, against insect, and what about its nutrient requirements, how he calibrate its nutrient requirements. Obviously, he needs some soil chemist for disease and insects. He needs a plant pathologist and entomologist and the patent. The patent must be divided among all the, as I have mentioned. So it will boost the morale of other scientists as well. So with due apology, my next point is, it is, as I have mentioned, that the variety evaluation and its monitoring in field is very much important. So it's in field monitoring is important in the sense that what this variety is performing, is it going well, or it loses its specific characteristics. So the less performer variety must be banned and evacuated from the system as earlier as possible. When in the field, this variety was no doubt was very high yielding variety, and if so nowadays it also have same potential. If it escape from the disease, this variety gives excellent output. But under certain situation that as was the last year, it's badly hit by the fungus and reduced yield, and it also act as the place from where the fungus spread and placed its home and spread. So these varieties must be evacuated as earlier as possible, and in our country, unfortunately, the process is very slow. And it's very much important point is chemical use is increasing since a couple of years, and hence developing fungal resistance. So certain laws must be developed in order to discourage this fungal, repeated use of fungal chemicals. And obviously the regional early warning systems, as my friend Dr. Thakur was discussing in his presentation, early warning systems are very much important in order to make the certain management activities in advance. And early education and training of this training implementation is also very much important, and information technology in the shape of drones, webs and application developments, and the social media is very important tool for technical assistance to the farmers. So I would like to conclude at the end. Under climate changes, we must understand climate changes. We need resistant varieties, especially against yellow rust and stem rust. Though stem rust is not problem for us, but maybe in future we may face this horrible threat. God forbid. The tuning of sowing time. We have experienced that early sowing definitely avoid diseases. It's a very much important thing. This year we got too much yield, and I think this major portion is the sowing of wheat crop in earlier. And weather forecast, we must know the weather forecast. Then inputs must be moderates. As you know, the high inputs always favor diseases and insects. Less but timely irrigation. I have discussed earlier. So left the field fallow is better than sowing late. That was a slogan we have developed during the last year. If you didn't sow your field well before time, it's better left it fallow, but don't sow it late. And the February is very much critical and crucial period for infection. So keep an vigilant eye on, and because this month is very much important for wheat physiology and disease as well. The fungicides or chemicals are that must be our last solution and must be used as precautionary measure if their use is unavoidable. And definitely these things we must keep in our mind, that chemicals are hazard for life. And take agriculture as an art, and incorporate information technology in the shape of well-equipped drones, web application, and social media. I'm sorry again for taking too much time. It's all from my side. If anyone have question, I'm here to answer the question. And I want once again say thank you to all organizers on arranging such a beautiful event. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Arshad sir. Almost more than 75 people, they are continuously listening our honorable speakers. I really appreciate their patience.